In 2019, US national parks received 327 million visits. The rolling hills and impressive canyons are some of the country's greatest attractions. However, there's a darker side to the majestic wilderness. Since 1916, over 1,000 people have vanished seemingly without a trace from national parks. Many of these instances have been attributed to unfortunate events such as animal attacks or exposure to extreme weather. However, there are several unsolved cases which continue to puzzle authorities. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 mysterious disappearances. The disappearance of Walter H. Reinhard. It was just another day for Walter H. Reinhard when he set out for a hike in Yosemite National Park on the 19th of September 2002. The 66-year-old was an experienced hiker who often went into the woods alone. It's believed that Reinhard decided to go on a solo hike, starting at the White Wolf Trailhead. However, Reinhard completely disappeared without a trace. Authorities commenced a large rescue effort soon after he vanished. Helicopters, boats, bloodhounds and rangers searched for any sign of him. Investigators scoured a 240-kilometre radius, yet all they could find was his car parked up at the trailhead. His credit card was last used earlier the same day to fill up at a petrol station. This was approximately 25 kilometres from where his car was found. After much investigation, authorities stated a park employee was the last person to see Reinhard. The worker was closing a lodge in the trails area at 9 o'clock in the morning, when he saw a hiker wearing a grey alpine hat ask for directions. It was later discovered Reinhard had taken a hat matching that description when he left for the woods that day. His disappearance was deeply shocking for his family. His son Kevin stressed his father was in excellent physical shape. The former Marine spent 3 hours a day in the gym and hiked up to 38 kilometres a week. He never had any medical problems and didn't take any medications. He also enjoyed participating in a hiking club from his area's retirement community. However, he often preferred to hike alone as others struggled to keep up with him. The veteran's physical background puzzled authorities, as those with such experience aren't typically the victims of national park disappearances. Intense rain, hail, and snow fell heavily in the following weeks. As wild weather continued to ravage the area, finding Reinhard alive became less and less likely. Despite their thorough searches, authorities estimated there was a 97% probability he wasn't anywhere they looked within the search radius. While Reinhard's family remained hopeful, his disappearance has never been solved in the years since. Park officials believe he either got lost or injured in the wilderness. They stated during their investigation that they didn't suspect foul play. Yet such scarce amounts of evidence have prevented authorities from coming to any definite conclusions. Despite such an extensive search, Reinhard's whereabouts remains a mystery. The disappearance of Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell decided to go hiking at Yellowstone National Park and has never returned. It was the 6th of April 1991 when Dan's friend dropped him and his dog off at a creek trailhead. The 47-year-old was intending to collect antlers on his hike. However, he never reached his final destination. His girlfriend called local authorities, reporting Dan was overdue from his hike. A large-scale search commenced 3 days after his disappearance, yet no one found any sign of him. The National Park Service, the US Forest Service, and the FBI were all involved in the unsuccessful ground and aerial investigation. However, Dan's 2 brothers publicly stated that they weren't satisfied with the search. They believed their brother may have suffered a more sinister fate. They felt it was suspicious no one had found any remains of Dan or his dog. They suspected their brother may have been murdered by some dubious people he dealt with in the illegal elk antler trade. Rob Campbell publicly stated he believed his brother had been buried somewhere in the park. Dan allegedly collected antlers to pay his bills and funded a move to White Sulphur Springs. Authorities have speculated he may have purposefully disappeared to avoid his financial situation. Yet Dan's family insist he's not the type to deliberately vanish. In the months following his disappearance, his brothers urged authorities to conduct a lie detector test on Dan's acquaintances. However, this request was denied by investigators. 9 years later, in 2000, his family filed a lawsuit against Park County Sheriff Charlie Johnson, claiming he had botched the investigation. They weren't happy with the sheriff treating the case solely as a disappearance rather than a murder. After employing a private investigator, they inquired evidence stating there were 14 other antler hunters in the area at the time. One of them stated they'd heard 2 shots. Most of this evidence has since been disposed of or lost. During the original search, firearms and ammunition was seized from some other antler hunters in the area. However, these items were returned to their owners without fingerprinting or investigation. No further clue of Dan's whereabouts came from these leads. He was an experienced outdoorsman. Park officials believed Yellowstone's rough terrain could have been challenging for even the best of hikers. Its dense foliage and uneven ground could easily conceal a person, making it difficult for searchers to find any signs of life. Even after their large-scale search effort, authorities stated they have no clues about Dan's whereabouts. While it may be unclear what happened to Dan, heavy snowstorms and high winds hit the area in the days following his disappearance, slimming chances of finding him alive. Dan Campbell's disappearance continues to be a mystery for authorities. The disappearance of Stacey Ann Aris. Stacey was just 14 years old when she suddenly vanished from Yosemite National Park. Stacey was on a horse riding trip with her father George, along with 7 others, in July 1981. The group were riding through Sunrise High Sierra Camp, where they reached a group of cabins. After planning to stay the night, they decided to freshen up after a day of riding. Showering and changing clothes, Stacey then decided to go on a short walk to take some pictures of a nearby lake. She asked her father if he wanted to join her, however he declined. Instead, another tour member, 72-year-old Gerald Stuart, offered to join her. The last conversation Stacey had with her father before she left was regarding appropriate footwear for her walk. George encouraged her to change into hiking boots given the uneven ground in the area, however she proceeded in flip-flops instead. As Stacey left the campsite, many saw her walk over to a large boulder with her acquaintance Gerald. She then decided to get closer to the lake for some better pictures. However, group members saw Gerald deciding to sit down as he wanted a rest. Everyone watched the teenager proceed further towards the lake, navigating around some trees to get a better vantage point. She eventually disappeared from sight, with a cluster of trees concealing her. When Stacey didn't return for a few moments, Gerald got worried and decided to go back to the cabin area. He quickly gathered the other group members to begin searching for Stacey. They found her camera lens amongst the trees, however she wasn't anywhere to be seen. The group contacted authorities and a large-scale search operation commenced. Hundreds of searchers and volunteers joined the National Guard to help find Stacey. However, they too never saw any signs of her. Gerald later told investigators he had spoken to a group of unknown hikers coming from the area Stacey had disappeared from. They stated, however, they hadn't ever seen her. There were several theories about what may have happened to Stacey. Many believe it's possible she fell into the lake and drowned. However, after divers were sent into the water and search dogs circled the perimeter, there still wasn't any sign of her. Others believe there was a possibility she had an encounter with an animal along the way. Yosemite has been known for its large population of black bears. There's a possibility she didn't survive an encounter with one of these bears. Yet no one has been injured nor killed by a black bear in the history of Yosemite National Park. Therefore, the chances are statistically very slim. The lack of clues suggesting what may have happened to Stacey have led some to believe that she was the victim of foul play. the mysterious case has gained a large online following, with many having detailed theories about what happened to her. Haunting crimes like abduction and murder have all been contemplated. However, with such a lack of evidence, the case remains disturbingly unsolved. The ability for people to completely disappear into thin air continues to be a haunting reality. The unpredictability of the wilderness has caused mass uncertainty in these untraceable vanishings. So what do you make of these mysterious disappearances? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and help us by growing this community whilst working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.